Thank you, and congratulations on surviving 3 days of fire hose of information from all of us and our speakers. And they had me come up to share with you because I tend to go slower than anybody else, so that while you're in this relaxed state, I can just kind of chill with you and do a really slow delivery of some information. But I want to talk to you about, there's all kinds of cool stuff. You've heard lots of e-commerce specific stuff and Ezra's awesome video ads strategies and all the cool AI stuff that came on the panel with Perry. I want to talk to you about growing your business. One of the things that I do at our companies is help the businesses grow beyond all the cool stuff that Ryan and Perry and Rich and the teams are doing, finding strategic partners and finding other ways to grow as exponentially as possible beyond just normal growth. And that's all done through leverage. So I'm going to talk to you today about some of the things that we use to leverage growth in the business, and also this 585 multiplier thing that's really can be applied to your business. And I'm going to give you a worksheet, and the slides will be available. Hopefully you all got the link working for the last presentation I did. All those slides should be up and available, and it's at the same link at the end of this. So let me talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to start by going back to 3 slides that I did in the first presentation about Amazon and Amazon's growth, and I left you with a question of should you be doing more than e-commerce, because Amazon is. And I think Amazon is very smart, and Ezra is, because Ezra has his apps and software division in addition to the e-com that he sells with Boom by Cindy Joseph. And so what we had talked about was retail as a percentage of sales for Amazon has actually been declining about 10%, from 77% in 2014 to 67% in 2016. And what's been growing, though, especially, is Amazon Web Services, which grew from not even fitting into the thing here at 5.2% to 9%, almost doubling, and providing a dramatic contribution to profits. Let's see if I can not jump 2 slides in advance. So on that almost 80 billion, there was only a 2.96 margin because it's so expensive to buy inventory, carry inventory, and all of the things that are necessary to sell in an e-com business. But the margins in software and software support over here at AWS, on only 12 billion in sales, he made a little bit over a 25% profit. And so the question that I ask is, if AWS can generate 8.6 times the profit margin on 85% less revenue, should you be doing more than just retail and more than just e-com? And that's what I want to talk about today. So growth starts with managing growth ideas. We use a tool called the, shockingly, Growth Idea Scorecard to keep track of what ideas we have and rank them and rate them, and then figure out what we should take, because you can only chase so many squirrels at one time. And this will be uploaded for you as well. But basically, we keep track of the ideas in the ideation stage, the hypothesis, what assets and team members will be needed. And then we say, what are the actual growth levers that this idea is going to pull to help actually make growth happen? And the things that we track are acquisition, can we get more customers? Activation, what turns a customer into an actual lifetime engaged fan and customer? Monetization, how are we going to make money off of it? Retention, can we continue to have them coming back and be a great customer and pay us money over and over and over? And then last but not least, referral, how can we get them excited to become a raving fan so that they'll send us other business? So we look at these growth levers, and 0 is not a lever, and 1 is a lever. So you can see in this particular idea, we have acquisition as the lever and nothing else. And then we score it on a scale of 1 to 10 from the least impact to the most impact. So we want to only really focus on the things that are going to have an impact. And that's done using something called ICE, which is impact, confidence, and ease. And then if our raw total is 5, we go to a weighted average tool. And if it's less than 5 or 5, it's not a go. So we can just toss out ideas that don't meet our minimums, and you can set these anywhere you want. And this is just done through an Excel spreadsheet. So I'll give you the link, the Excel spreadsheet you can download, and it calculates everything automatically. And this is what it looks like on the on the second page of this spreadsheet where all the ideas get aggregated and you see what you're going to do in what order. So just to give you that to hopefully help you have some way when you're looking at all of the cool things that you've heard here to know how not to be overwhelmed and how to decide which things you think you can implement the fastest that are going to have the biggest impact on your business. So the next thing I want to talk about is how do you actually find the leverage? How can you grow exponentially? Where is the leverage? And I like to do this in 3 different ways, from the easiest to the hardest. The first thing is the contribution replication test. The second thing is the rapid growth leverage checklist. And the third thing is a leverage mapping canvas. And so I'm going to walk you through each of those things. The first thing is look at the industry levels and see where the lowest hanging fruit lies. This is interesting. This is from Internet Retailer's Best E-commerce Marketing Report for 2017. What channels provide the highest ROI in the industry? By far, it's email. By far, email's providing the highest ROI, followed by social media, and then it goes all the way down. And then we look at how much does it cost to drive a sale. We can see that behavioral targeting through online ads is super expensive. It's $32 on average for CPA, right? But looking down here through remarketing, mobile messaging, affiliate marketing, email happens to be one of the least expensive ways to drive conversions. So we've got the most effective way to do it and the least expensive. That tells you that if you're not using email, you're missing out on one of the best ways, both in terms of return on investment and cost of acquisition, to get customers. So that's the easy first way to do it. And the way that we look at that is we say, what activity contributes the most to top-line revenue? What activity contributes the most to margin? And then what activity contributes the most to profitable growth? And if you answer these 3 questions, you'll find that those are the things you should probably focus on, right? Leverage yourself by focusing on the things that give you the greatest return. For us, when we went through this exercise, we did not find that it was our e-commerce sales. We found that it was events like this that bring people like you in, and we get to deliver amazing value to you, and then you become raving fans, you consume more of our stuff, you tell more people about us. The activity that contributed the most to margin, also events. The activity that's contributed the most to growth, also events. So for us, it was clear that we should do more events. What front-end products convert the best, right? What back-end products convert the best? And then how can you match the highest converting front ends, ideally with the highest converting back ends? It sounds simple, but I'm telling you, these are the fundamental things that if you look at, they'll have the biggest impact on your business the fastest. And for us, in the event example, we decided that expanding internationally was the way to do more and more events. So what we were kidding about is we said, okay, well, events, we're in our meeting, our growth meeting, we say, well, events are driving the most growth. If we could only do an event every single week, then think of how profitable we would be. And we're all like, ha, that's really funny, yeah, we can't do that. And then it was like, well, but what if we could? How could we actually do that? And asking questions like that is like the absurd thing is, we can do an event, if we could do an event every week, we'd make a whole lot more money. And then the reality is, well, we can't. And then the revised reality is, actually, how could we? We could if we can do events internationally, because we're not going to the same audience. We're leveraging other people's audience. We can find international partners. And now, as of this event, we actually have partners in Australia to expand into Australia, and Brazil as 2 of the first places that we're doing this. So we actually, if we got 52 countries, we could do an event every week. And I want to encourage you to think outside the box like that, looking at your most profitable things and then saying, what's the absurd if I wasn't bound by reality? What is the absurd scenario that could actually let me do a lot more of this? And then see if there's some way to make that happen. The second thing is a rapid growth checklist. So we put together this for you so that you can see all of the biggest, easiest levers to push. And I've done a key over here for you so that you can see these are the things that will impact your team, your growth, your scale, and your funding. And I'd encourage you to go through this checklist and see which of these things you can implement in your business the fastest. Expand internationally really affects everything. It benefits all 4 of these things over here. manufacture in-house. You can take the products that you're manufacturing or that you're selling right now for other people and bring those in-house and manufacture them yourself. Even big billion-dollar companies like Wayfair, which sells lots of other people's furniture on a marketplace, or Amazon, who sells lots of other people's stuff, right, looks at the things that are the most profitable and then starts to take them in-house and come out with lines where they're selling these things that they manufacture now to their people instead of selling other people's, and they're picking up the middle in between, the margin that the seller was making before. So if you're selling on a marketplace like Amazon or Wayfair or some of those other things, you may find that you get disintermediated, that they're like, okay, that's a super profitable niche, so we're going to take you out. And doing all the things that everybody that has presented here at this conference teaches you how to get away from those marketplaces is also important, so that you have the ability to start doing your own things and not face that risk, or at least minimize it. The other things that you can do is you could buy your competitors, you can buy your suppliers, or you can even buy out your clients or your partners. And when I say partners, I don't necessarily mean the people who you're sitting next to, because that's just awkward. But and if you're going to buy out your partner who's sitting next to you right now, raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. No. But buying out your competitors or your suppliers or your clients or partners, that's a form of vertical integration. It just means that in the supply chain, you can buy down or up from where you are. So if you're an affiliate selling somebody else's thing, you could buy the manufacturer whose thing you're selling. You could buy the marketplace on which you are selling the thing, or the media property or whatever, and get a bigger business and get a bump really, really fast. Turn a cost center to a profit center. So I'm going to talk with you in a little bit when I do the 585 thing about how we took our cost center of content creation for the 62 properties that we've got. We have a whole team in the States and the Philippines that creates all our content, and we turned that into a profit center by making those services available to third parties. So you can take things that are currently costs for you and turn those into revenue and profits. The next thing would be to buy complementary media. So we are buying other websites all the time that are complementary to sites that we already own, so that we have a bigger place, a bigger marketplace to offer our products. We could franchise or license. The deals that we've done with our partners in Australia and Brazil are like franchise deals. They're license deals, actually. So they allow us to have a partner that then is selling all of our stuff, and we're making profits, but it's also from other people's efforts and other people's money, and you can do the same thing. Create JVs and strategic partnerships. I think that's self-explanatory. Licensing your brands, products, or services. You can crowdfund with your clients or customers. So my son, Ryan, decided that he wanted to do a pre-workout, but he didn't have any capital to start with. This is a supplement that you take to basically cheat and give you a lot of energy before you lift weights. And he decided that since he didn't have any money, he was going to do a Kickstarter and crowdfund with existing customers of the influencer that he had partnered with. And so they put it up on Kickstarter. They funded it in 24 hours. They doubled their funding shortly after that. And then they had all the capital that they needed to start this business. So that's a really good way to go about things as well. You can do traditional debt or equity offerings. You can borrow a sales force or rep network. And we've done this several times. I used to own a motorcycle helmet manufacturing company, and we didn't have a rep network, but the sales had to be made really one-on-one to all of these local stores, these motorcycle shops that were selling to their customers. And so we didn't have the capital or the resources to have a big sales network, so we went to a $600 million a year company that had a huge network and said, hey, your guys don't currently sell motorcycle helmets. They sell all kinds of motorcycle parts. Would you be willing to allow them to sell our helmets, and you can make a commission and they can make a commission, so everybody wins? And they said yes, and then we instantly had their sales force without having to hire them or train them, right? So that's a good way to do things too. Outsource or offshore functions are, I mentioned a minute ago that our content team, we have a whole lot of folks in the Philippines, so our average cost per employee is about $2,000 in that department instead of what it would be here in the States, more than double that. And then add services to your physical products. So if you're selling physical products right now, the easiest thing to add would be, if you've got a physical product, would be like a warranty or something like that, and you can buy those through third parties, and that's almost 100% margin. Those things are almost free for you to own, but that would be a service that you could add. You could also add value-added services if it was something where there was a training or a video or something like that. So those are just, and add physical products to services as well. So that's just a whole bunch of quick wins that you could have. And so I'd encourage you to go through here and see what you can apply to your business. And then the third way is the leverage growth matrix and the leverage scale canvas. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory, so just do this. Obviously, KPI equals CAC plus DPL equals the viral coefficient. I mean, that's just like child's play, right? So, so here's how to understand this, is I'm really only taking the only three ways known to man that J. Abraham first talked about, or woman, to grow a business, right? Is either to get more customers, get them to buy in bigger quantities, or get them to buy more often. That's something to start with. But I want you to think about that in terms of leverage. How do we leverage these things, not just get more customers, but how do we get a resource that will help us to get a whole lot more customers, right? So here's how we do that. You can add a channel, and that can be as simple as saying we advertise on Facebook right now. We haven't put our products on Amazon. We're going to put them on Amazon. Amazon's a new channel. We don't advertise on YouTube or sell through YouTube, so that's a new channel. That's kind of easy. It could also be that you're acquiring a company. You're acquiring another business that already has your customers. To me, there's almost no faster way to grow than to simply buy the customers that you would like to have. And we can talk about some strategies to do that without using a lot of money in a second. And then an affinity play, which is basically influencers, okay? So that's for leverage customer acquisition. Influencers are, COI stands for center of influence, and virality. If you get an influencer, and I gave you examples yesterday of how Drew Canole and Nick Coates were using influencers, and you should definitely consider trying those strategies. If you get the influencer, you have a center of influence who can get you hundreds or thousands of clients or tens of thousands of clients instead of just a Facebook ad that gets you onesie-twosie, right? So I really like those fast ways to do that. The way that you do it, and by the way, this is the goal, this is the method, this is the way that you do it, and this is what you're going to need to do it. So the way that you add a channel is you just go to media and get channels. You can also do channel partners, and that could be something like we just did a partnership with Microsoft for Digital Marketer to distribute our marketing training. So Microsoft is a channel partner into the certified trainer or the certified partner market, and it's a big one because it brought us instantly 440,000 partners that Microsoft is putting our stuff in front of, right? That's a channel partner. And you need data and a network for that. To acquire somebody else's entity, you either need a software purchase agreement, SPA, or an asset purchase agreement, or APA, or a license. And then you're going to do that with capital or debt. To do it, to make it happen, you need investors, and you need to know who you're going to buy. And then for affinity, you need centers of influence, which are just influencers, and virality, some way to allow them to spread things faster. That's typically done with social proof, and it's either pay-to-play or peer-to-peer. And you just need influencers and PMF, which stands for product market fit, right? So it means that your market has to actually get something from your product. If you do, though, you end up with those crazy numbers like Drew Canole's getting, where he's getting 1,000% return on ad spend every single week, okay? So that's leveraging customer acquisition. Leveraging transaction size, meaning leveraging to get people to spend more and enhance your margin, you're looking at ICV, which is immediate customer value, and you're looking at gross margin. These are your KPIs. And I would suggest that you have a dashboard that looks similar to this, that has these numbers, so you can see where things are trending every single day. Okay? So the ways that you leverage transaction size, you can add other people's products and other people's services, OPP and OPS. To do that, you need service or product partners. That can be as simple as an affiliate, or it can be a publishing deal. It can be a deal where you go out like Nick Coates does to influencers, and you say, hey, I will create all of the product for you based on where the demand is in your market. There's lots of ways to do that. And then the way that the means of realizing that and monetizing it is a super funnel where you offer every single thing that you have to offer to these people over time through a sequenced funnel. And all you need is other people's products or offers to make that happen. For bigger orders, the easy way to do that is to do bulk and bundles. One of the coolest things that I've seen lately that allows you to have Amazon, if you're selling on Amazon, refer people or recommend people to buy your bundles is creating, I talked about vendor-powered coupons, how you can do these coupons on Amazon. If you create a vendor-powered coupon for a bundle product that you want Amazon to recommend, and then you drive traffic to that, you go out to the, submit a deal on Google and list it with a bunch of sites, and you're driving all this traffic, that can be free, right? And then people start to buy the bundle through the coupon, then what happens pretty soon is Amazon, under the people who bought this also bought this, will say, hey, people who are buying this one thing are buying this with it in this bundle. Let's start putting that under the single product. So let's say, for example, that you want Amazon to recommend your $400 training with your $7 book. Then you could create a coupon, a vendor-powered coupon that was promoting those two things as a pair and run traffic to that. And then Amazon would see that those two products are selling together, and it's going to say, people that bought this book also bought this course. That's pretty cool. So you can get Amazon to actually, you can kind of control what Amazon's going to recommend and have your funnel show up on your Tripwire product page. So that's doing bulk and bundles. You can also sell to wholesalers, and I'll give you some examples of these things in a second. You just need other people's distribution channels to make that happen. Also, if your goal is higher margins, I talked about vertical integration, which is buying your supply chain. Horizontal integration is buying your competitors. And then the way that you make that happen is through manufacturing and strategic relationships, and you want to consolidate your supply chain. And then last but not least, leverage buyer frequency. How do you get them to buy more often, but how do you do that in a leveraged way? Your KPIs are churn, lifetime value, monthly average users or monthly active users, and product innovation rate. So you want to add recurring revenue. I'm going to talk about 5 ways to do that in a second. That's new products or services can also make that happen. You can acquire those new products or services through licensing, or you can contract with other people to create them for you, and you just need other people's products and offers for that. You can also buy recurring revenue, right? So you can use a software purchase or asset purchase agreement to buy other people's revenue, same things that we talked about before, or you can borrow it from a third party through affiliates and other people's products and offers. So let's look at some examples that'll hopefully make this really work for you. So for us, these are all things that we're doing. So to add a channel, we're working with Microsoft, which I mentioned, Entrepreneur Magazine, and Salesforce to get our marketing programs out to other people who they already have, big audiences that these people already have. Leverage, right? To acquire entities, we purchased Survival Life when it was doing $30,000 a month and took sales 100 times up from that to $3 million a month over about a 4-year period. 100 times growth, but we bought that to start with because we didn't know anything about it. It was an opportunity. It just came into our purview. And then we bought a publishing company because we needed a ton of programs for one of our other businesses, and we found somebody who had been selling like crazy when Google was easy, and as Google got hard, they couldn't figure it out. So they had, I think it's 192 different courses in specific things, along with business plans for these courses, and we bought the whole thing for, I think it was like $10,000, okay? Then affinity plays, centers of influence and virality, those are just influencers, the events that I talked about, using top-down video, that's virality. We've been driving 20, 30 million video views with these little top-down videos. And then esports, which is a really up-and-coming area. How do we leverage transaction size and enhance our margin? By adding other people's products and services. We're getting referrals. We met Damon John of Shark Tank, and it was in connection with a product called Spy Escape, which was being done by a gentleman named Jason Hansen. And Damon had done a deal with Jason on Shark Tank and didn't really know how to market it. And so he came to us and said, can you sell this stuff? You've got some survival people. And we said, we think we can. We sold millions of dollars of this. And now Damon refers us. He comes to us all the time and says, okay, here's the 26 products now that I've got to find a way to sell. Can you help me, right? That's pretty cool. So that's a referral relationship that's getting us leverage in adding other people's products and services. For bigger orders, we're doing wholesaling of the retail that we do. And to me, this is one of the most brilliant things that Perry does, and all of you can do that are selling something, is so we decided we wanted to make bath bombs. And we make all these cool bath bombs, and we're selling them retail. But since we have all the ingredients, why don't we also sell them to our competition as a wholesaler? And why don't we sell the ingredients? So if we make bath bombs and we sell an emoji, a poop emoji bath bomb, which is awesome, right? You should all buy one. A poop emoji bath bomb, and we sell it to somebody on Amazon that buys one or two of them, that's cool. And we've got a couple of customers. But what if we also sell that to 72 other people who are selling things like that on Amazon or elsewhere, and now we're picking up wholesale orders of 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 15,000 of these things. That's pretty cool. It'd take us a long time to sell 15,000 poop emoji bath bombs, right? You'd have to have, maybe for a pool or something like that. And then the ingredients that it takes for us to make the bath bombs, we have to buy in bulk. If we can buy more of those ingredients, we'll get a better price. So we started selling the ingredients to make bath bombs in addition to wholesale bath bombs, in addition to retail. So that's, to me, a really quick way that you guys can take what you're doing already and leverage up what you're able to sell. And so we created bathbombsupplies.com and another site called Wholesale Distributors, and we sell all this stuff wholesale that we sell retail. Everything we sell that we sell retail, we also sell wholesale. Everything that has an ingredient that we manufacture, we also sell the ingredients, okay? And then higher margins through vertical or horizontal integration. We've done that with t-shirts. When we started making t-shirts, we were paying quite a bit of money for them, and then we found a manufacturer called Sunfrog in Detroit that was able to get them to us for significantly less, and I think we were in the $4 or $5 range. And then we realized that if we just bought the t-shirt machines and started making the t-shirts ourselves, we could get that cost down to about $1.50. And the margin, that's just margin, right? We capture all of that margin. So that's a great way to get additional margin. Did the same thing with bath bombs and personalized printing. We bought all these printers to do personalization because you can sell personalized things for a lot more than you can sell things in bulk. And then last but not least, leverage buyer frequency to add recurring revenue or buy it or borrow it. We created FPA, the Family Protection Association Buyers Club, the American Gun Association, the National Craft Society, all of these associations that allow us to offer a continuity membership in this association to anybody who likes a particular kind of product. So if somebody buys a gun-related product from us, like let's say they buy a holster, then we're going to offer them membership in the American Gun Association, which is a $20 a month recurring revenue thing. So thinking about ways to turn your sales into recurring revenue is also a great way to leverage. So that's kind of those things. And then the other way to leverage is scale. So the one we just talked about was growth, and now we're talking about scale. So in scale, we're talking about systems, more and better people. So systems, people, and capital. That's what you need to really scale a business. Grow a business, to me, is I'm going to sell more stuff to people. Scale a business is I'm going to have the infrastructure to be able to sell more stuff as orders grow. And that's where a lot of us run into challenges. So there, you've got products under the systems. You've got product systems, financial systems, and operations. And basically, that's SOPs and internal controls, which is SOP is standard operating procedures. And software and your COO or CFO are going to help you with that. There is a easy SOP creation software called Suite Process that we use to create most of our SOPs. And then down in the more and better people, it's culture, which Ryan is amazing. If any of you saw the We Believe video, that culture building stuff really, really changes things. And keeping track of that, we use a software called Office Vibe. Compensation, salary benefits, comp plans. You need, unfortunately, to have attorneys there and attorneys for upside shares if you're going to do profit sharing agreements and revenue share. But those are all the things to help you attract better people and watch your employee turnover rate and your employee engagement rate, right? And then last but not least, to get capital, you can get equity capital, which is the most expensive kind. Try not to get that as long as you possibly can, because as you get to more and more income and you get investors and private equity people coming in to look at helping you, they want what they call a clean cap table, meaning they want an easy, basically just the owners and the people that started the business are the people that own the stock so that when they come in, it's not going to be a super complicated deal. Then you've got debt, which could be an A or B round. It's typically done through a convertible note. And then last but not least, creative ways to get capital. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And I'm going to tell you a couple of those as we go forward. So one of the things that we talked about in the quick wins is how can you add additional products? And this is a tool that we use to do that. It's the product mix canvas. So we're looking at product lines and categories. And the way that we get new products, the way that we innovate new products is we use this product development grid. So we put our new markets that we would like to go into, extended markets, meaning maybe we're in survival, but the next logical step out of survival is guns, right, or gun carriers. Our existing market, our extended market, and new markets, and then our existing products that we sell in our existing market, our extended products, like maybe we put a scope on a rifle, and new products. So if you go through this, it's 9 different kinds of things. I think if I do my matrix multiplying right, 9 different kinds of ways to think about how you're going to innovate new products. And having those extra products gives you more stuff to sell to your existing customers who are worth about 9 times what a new customer's worth. So here's a case study for you on adding a channel with recurring revenue, which adds $27 million in valuation to our business, right? So that's a SaaS. We added a leveraged customer acquisition channel. SaaS is software as a service. So this was a thing called True Conversion, which is an analytics program. So it was an existing SaaS. There was no development time for us, so that's awesome. We've leveraged our time. We found something that we don't have to develop, and we can sell it right away. They were already a vendor to us, so we knew them. They had an existing dev team. Unfortunately, the team was located in Pakistan, and for some reason, we can't get any of our senior management to travel there to train them. I don't know why. It was a 5-figure down, so you're talking about less than $10,000 to get into this business, and the owner was willing to carry the rest. That's just negotiating. So that quickly grew to $60,000 a month, on its way to $500,000 a month by end of the year at a target. We added a recurring revenue stream. We use the existing sales team that we already have, so leverage, right? Existing integrations, we already have had to create things that work with other software for software that we've got. We were able to really easily use those for this. We used our existing software development team that we already had here in addition to the folks in Pakistan, and our existing customer care team because we already had a customer service team. So hopefully this is causing you to think, gosh, I've already got assets in place. What things can I bring in, or what companies can I buy, or what products can I create or acquire that will allow me to leverage all this stuff that I've already got? So what contributes the most to your top line revenue, what contributes the most to margin, and what can contribute the most to your profitable growth? Now, this is my favorite part. So we created this thing called the 585 multiplier, and this is done to 5 times your company's value, cut your expenses by up to 80%, and 5x your leads. And this is a worksheet. And again, you'll be able to download this. I'll give you the link. But this is the worksheet that we use to make that happen. I'm going to go through each of these 3 sections pretty quick for you. But when you download this side is completely blank so that you can use it. And here I've given you examples so you can see how we're using this. Okay? So the first thing is MRR. MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue. And we got this insight when Spectrum Equity came to us and wanted to talk to us about investing in us. And they told us that, they said, there's all these things that you can do, and this is something to look at when you look at the slides. There's all these things that you can do to marginally bump the multiplier that you sell your business for. There's 10 of these things, right? But the thing that matters the most to us is your income. And we're willing to give you 1 times your current sales revenue to do this investment. So if let's say that our sales revenue is $1 million a month, they're willing to give us $1 million for that $1 million a month, okay? But if it's monthly recurring revenue, if it's not like we just have to go out and sell this thing 1 time and then we have to find somebody else to sell it to and we have to find somebody else to sell it to, if it's a recurring revenue, they're willing to give us 4 to 5 times. 4 to 5 times. So what does that look like? Well, we had a $600,000 a month business. If it's static revenue, you multiply that by 12 and they're willing to value it at $7.2 million. But if we could convert that to monthly recurring revenue, it's worth $36 million. How stupid is that, right? But again, how real is that? Because they want security and they want stability, and so they're willing to pay a whole lot of money for that. About $28.8 million more for the exact same company if it has recurring revenue. Does that make you want to think about how to create recurring revenue? Right? So, big question for us, what static income can we turn to recurring? Over the last couple of years, we took $5.4 million worth of static income and turned it into recurring through all of the certifications and DMHQ and all the other things that you see, which has had a pretty significant impact in making the company unit that was worth that now worth that. Okay? Here's how we did it. First thing we did was we ended our a la carte trainings. The second thing that we did was focus on growing existing MRR, the people that were already paying us monthly. How do we get more of those? And then how do we convert non-MRR into MRR? So here's how you can do it. The very first thing you can do is you can convert one-time payments to MRR. And this is pretty easy, and I talked about it briefly, and I gave this example in my other presentation. It's just offer auto ship. Create a club and offer auto ship and have something that you're selling that people are going to want to buy more than once. For example, if you're selling dog food, wouldn't it make sense to make it easy for the people that you're selling the dog food to buy it more than once and to not have to reorder from you all the time? So what Lori Taylor did was, instead of just selling one at a time, she created the True Dog Love Club, which has a great name. She gives a discount, saves an additional 7%, and get free shipping when you subscribe. And instead of paying $21, you pay $19. It's that simple. It's that simple. And with salmon burgers, same thing. With vitamins, same thing. Offer auto ship. Even if you're a company like this that sells to brick and mortar, you can do recurring. You simply get your supply chain on a recurring purchase commitment. And now you've got recurring income, and now your business is magically worth a lot more than it was before. Second way to do it, add MRR services. So Ezra did a good job of this in that he started offering his software development services through a product, the Zipify pages and one-click upsell and all those cool things that he has, and they're all great, by the way, for $47 a month, or billed monthly, or an annual payment of $397. He just took all the development stuff that he was having his folks do to sell his Boom by Cindy Joseph product. He was doing this anyway, and he said, what if I just make this available to everybody else, and in a recurring revenue format, right? Our friend Michael Perella, who started I Love Kickboxing, which is one of the fastest growing franchises, said, gosh, I get a franchise fee, which is a one-time franchise fee, but how could I make my people more successful and also have recurring revenue? So what he did was he said, when you buy this, you need to prove to me, and people actually want to buy it because it's very popular and very profitable. He said, you need to prove to me that you're actually going to develop dollars into marketing, so I want you to sign up for a $25,000 a month marketing plan that I'm going to provide in addition to the franchise. And so he was able to have monthly recurring revenue services in addition to that. The third way you can do it is turn one-time sales into auto ship or box. And time again, I see this. There's lots of people that offer stuff for sale but don't offer auto ship or a box. This is one of my favorite names for a product. If you're doing survival, why not get the Apoca box so that you can survive the apocalypse? Now, if it is an apocalypse, I would suggest that you might not be alive to have the box, and probably you're never going to receive any additional shipments, but that's another story. Okay? Fourth way is memberships, associations, and buyers clubs. And buyers clubs are fantastic. And I'm going to show you ours. So basically, when somebody buys a product from us, the second offer that they're going to get in most cases is from the Family Protection Association. It says, as a gift to you from the 168,000 members of our Family Protection Association, claim your $30 functional multi-tool for just a penny, okay? For just a penny. And then you see this. You see, before you go watch this short video, right? That's why we work hard to bring the biggest discounts, and in some cases, totally free gear to our members each and every month in our private members-only store. So we're telling them that they're able to get access at great discount, cool products, and probably products that they won't be able to find anywhere else. And I think this is really cool. And Ryan Dice wrote this. But since we're a private store, our prices aren't technically advertised, so we're frequently able to offer gear at prices lower than you can get at Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, Walmart, and even Amazon. And when you do, we'll give you a free $20 gear credit every single month that you can spend. So basically, this is free. We're going to give you a $20, for your $20 a month membership, we're going to give you $20 to spend in our store every single month, so it's free, and you get all these extra benefits. Now, what's cool about that is, obviously, the stuff that we're selling in the store doesn't cost us $20, but as a buying proposition for people, it sounds pretty awesome, right? So this is something that you might consider trying and testing and seeing if you can create a buyer's club. And a friend of ours just sold his company for a whole lot of money. He won't tell us how much, but it's a lot, to the Golf Channel. He was selling golf products, and he had a buyer's club, and because he had a buyer's club, he has recurring revenue, which was really appealing to the Golf Channel, and he was able, because it was a private club, he was able to sell Callaway Golf and TaylorMade and all these name brands below MAP. MAP is minimum advertised price, and so everybody else in the world is stuck with this minimum advertised price. They can't advertise lower than this, but because he has a private group, he can blow out golf clubs real quick. And the first time that he did it, he sold, I think, $2 million in a weekend of golf clubs, and he got the attention of all the manufacturers who now beg him to make offers of their stuff, right? So I think this is a fantastic offer and a really cool way to go. We have a whole bunch of different membership sites. We have all kinds of member perks that people see when they're joining the associations. And those work really well. And when you have a membership like that, you definitely you're going to have some costs in focusing on providing great services, and you're going to have some costs in retaining people, like having an actual retention program in place. But if you wake up every month and you know you've got $1.2 million coming in on day one, it's really comfortable, really comfortable. And then the fifth way, add certifications to training. So Digital Marketer did not used to offer certifications. We offered lots of trainings. And we decided, what if we offered certifications and we can create a recurring revenue so that people can recertify and have continuing education and things like that. And so that's the path we're on for that. So this is how it works on the worksheet. When you download this, you'll see in the first section it says list your top 7 income streams. In this case, I did events, courses, etc. Is it static, meaning one time, or MRR, recurring? And then how can you transform it? And these are just the 5 ways that I talked about: Buyers Club, SaaS, membership, box, certification, association. And you just go through and see how can you turn your income streams from static to recurring, and you will have a pretty big bump in the value of your company. The second thing we learned from Jeff Bezos by looking at fulfillment by Amazon, Amazon Prime, and Amazon Web Services, which I talked about earlier, and that's how can we turn expenses, like he did with Amazon's infrastructure, into profits, like he did with those programs. So we had a content team that cost us $49,000 a month. $49,000 a month is what it cost us to have our content team in the Philippines producing content for all of our 62 different web properties, right? So we were like looking at that, and we said, what if we offered that content service to other people? And we did. There's a booth out here for Native Commerce Media, and this is the website, nativecommerce.com, because over the traffic for our clients in the last 12 months, our clients are ourselves, right? Initially, because that's a separate unit. So all of our companies, our clients of this company, 738,000 customers that we created, or unique, visitors we created, and we offer this 100% done for you marketing. So we took this expense center that was 49 grand a month and turned it into a product that now generates $125,000 a month, which I think is more than $49,000 a month, right? So $76,000 a month now in margin, in profit, which is MRR, which means you can multiply that by 4 or 5 to see what the value of the company is going to be, times 12 months out of the year, which is pretty cool to create out of thin air, right? So look at the things that you've got and see what you can take and convert into a profit center. So identify your biggest expenses, think about how you can convert them to income, and then offer them as products or services. And Ezra's done this with his thing that I mentioned. A buddy of ours at a nutraceutical company turned himself from selling just supplements into an actual formulator for other people, or anybody with trade show space can go and co-exhibit with third parties. And again, the example, you can take things that inventory is pretty obvious, but things that might not be as obvious to you that are expenses. You list your top expenses here. You say, would it sell? Can it be MRR? And who would pay for it? Well, payroll, you would think, well, I can't turn payroll into something people would buy, but it will sell because you can outsource, for example, your customer service. You have a big customer service team, you can just outsource that and start selling it to other people, right? Selling those services to other people. For facilities, anybody without them, right? For fulfillment, the people that don't have pick, pack, and ship. So there's all kinds of ways to do this. And then my favorite is the last one, which is bolt-on business. And we got this, I kept seeing Vern Harnish, who's a super cool guy and wrote a book called Scaling Up and the Rockefeller Habits. I kept seeing him advertised in partnership with Fortune, where all over the country, Fortune is promoting these events for scaling up. And so what this is it's a bolt-on business. And this is how it works. So for us, we said, how can we take the things that we're good at now, how can we take the things that we're good at now and offer them to other people as a bolt-on? So what can we find that we do that other people we're good at, that other people could use and add to their business that they don't currently have? It's as simple as that. And we found it with Entrepreneur Magazine because Entrepreneur Magazine is not good at events. So we talked to Entrepreneur Magazine and said, maybe we can do events together. And they said, we're definitely interested in making that happen. We talked to Infusionsoft, and Infusionsoft said, gosh, we're really good at SaaS, at this software thing, but we're not as good at generating customers. You guys are good at that. Could we work together? And I'll show you how we're doing that. Same thing with Microsoft. Microsoft said, we want more leads, and you guys are good at leads, so would you be willing to do that for us? And then our friend Sam Karamian over at Big Block Realty, and who has a real estate company, he said, gosh, I've got all these real estate agents. I'm growing super, super fast. I think he was like number 23 or something on the Inc. 5000. So we're growing super, super fast, but I don't have any kind of really good training for them in marketing, in digital marketing. Could we license Digital Marketer Lab and then skin it for real estate agents, and I'll put thousands and thousands of real estate agents in it? And we said, yeah, that'd be okay, right? Because we already had those assets. So here's what we did for Infusionsoft. We did a thing called Double Your Sales, where Ryan recorded a bunch of videos and created content, and they actually pay us every month the advertising budget to run all these ads, and then we split the leads. So they're paying 100% of our customer acquisition advertising cost, and by the way, an extra 10% to manage the whole thing, and we get all the leads for ourselves in addition to them getting it. And you might say, well, that's a stupid deal for them, but it's not, because they didn't know how to do this, and they'd have to do it anyway, and they trust us because we know them and we've worked with them. So they're like, yeah, we'll totally do that. It's a win-win. And it's a win-win in a big way. So just being creative to think about things like this can have an amazing impact on your business. And I want to say that we're in the 2,000 or 4,000 extra leads per month that we get or maybe it's a week, just because we did this. Same thing with Microsoft. This is the one we created for Microsoft. And this is Attract and Convert. Sounds very similar to Double Your Sales, right? Only we couldn't say Double Your Sales for Microsoft. So same thing. We created this content thing. You see Scott Duffy up here. Scott's a super smart guy. And Scott had connections at Microsoft, and we said, gosh, we've been trying for 2 years to do a deal with Microsoft. He said, how about if I just get him on the phone for you? And I was like, okay, well, that sounds cool. And he gets him on the phone, and I've got my presentation all ready to go to convince them as to why we should do this deal. And the guy says, yeah, I mean, Scott says you guys are cool, so it seems to me like it's a no-brainer. Let's do it. It's like, okay, well, Scott's pretty good guy to know, right? And then that's co-branded, same thing. So they blast us out to all of their Microsoft partners on their small business blog and in emails all over the place, and it costs us $0, and we get the leads. So how can you do this? Identify your superpowers. Who has your customers already? And then match your superpowers to their needs. And the easy way to do that is using this part. This is the bottom part of that questionnaire or that form that I showed you earlier. So here you identify your top 7 superpowers. For us, it was lead generation, content, masterminds, events, speaking, coaching, and fulfillment. And then who has your clients already? Salesforce has our clients. HubSpot has our clients. Infusionsoft, Inc. Magazine, Entrepreneur, Microsoft, ClickBank. Those are all people who have lots and lots of people that we would like to have as our customers. And this is numbered 1 to 7. And this is lettered A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the next thing you do is match your target to your superpower. So for A, Salesforce, I said, number 1, they need lead gen. For HubSpot, which is B, they also need lead gen. Infusionsoft needs lead gen. But Inc. Magazine, which is D here, needs content, right? They need content, so they're willing to do a content deal. Entrepreneur Magazine also needs events. We talked about that a second ago. Microsoft needs masterminds because they don't have masterminds for all their partners, and we're good at masterminds because we've got the war room, and all of our war room people are super happy. And we talked to Microsoft about that, and they said, yeah, we would do a test mastermind, and if it works, we'll roll those out all over the country and all over the world to all of our people because it's going to help us sell more stuff, right? And same thing for ClickBank. ClickBank at G, they initially did not sell physical products. And so we opened a whole new world to ClickBank. We were the first people to sell physical products on ClickBank because we approached them and said, you're missing out on this huge, huge, huge thing called e-commerce, right? What if you also allowed people to sell physical products? And so we could offer fulfillment services to them. And the cool thing about this is this MRR and expenses to profits and bolt-on business, as you can see, they all interrelate with each other and they can compound and multiply. And if once you start doing this and you go through these exercises, I think you're going to find a whole lot of cash and a whole lot of profit in your business that you probably didn't see before. So find the leverage, change your life. All of the slides are available right here. And I uploaded that just before I did this presentation, and I double-checked it because I think it didn't upload the first time for yesterday's slides, so those are all there. We're going to break for a few minutes now. Let me see what time it is, and I'll tell you. We're going to break until 3:15, and if you have any questions about this stuff or think that you'd like to be a part of our mastermind, I'd love to see you in the War Room booth. Thank you very much. Please take this and use it.